Hey you! Yes, you! Are you a dedicated but struggling online shopper? Do you want to find the right gift for the PlayStation gamer in your life but don't know where to start? Then it looks like you need help from Push Square's dedicated Christmas gift guide, where you can walk away with cool gifts like this. And this! And maybe even this. Another happy online customer. Hi there guys, it's Aaron here from Push Square, back again with another video because it is indeed dangerously close, as scary as it might be, to the time where the big man himself gets to climb down your chimney, hopefully with exciting gaming related gifts and not just coal. You obviously catch me in Santa's workshop itself because I've got to oversee a couple things and obviously make sure that the lovely Push Square viewership are being done justice. So anyway, yes, this is my little Christmas gift guide for you, everything PlayStation related, of course, and I believe this might be the first one that the channel's ever done, at least obviously since I've been here, so I'm gonna try and start it off with a bang. I've got a couple of obvious things, also less obvious things, and also things which, most importantly, won't break the bank either. So I've broken this guide down into the list of the following categories, which you're now seeing on screen, and if you just want to jump to anywhere specifically, then feel free to click on the required timestamp. Anyway, let's start off proceedings with accessories, and the most obvious accessory of them all is of course none other than the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. Now, while it might seem fairly obvious to pick up, a spare DualSense controller, it's a simple fact that obviously you only get one out the box, but already, despite it only being a little over a year since the PlayStation 5 has come out, there's still so many great local co-op games to play on the platform. I'm thinking about Sackboy: A Big Adventure, It Takes Two, and that is just scratching the surface of the many, many local co-op games you can play with another person. Not to mention the fact that if you do only have one DualSense controller and you like playing for a long time, during extended play sessions, even in just single player games, then obviously you're going to constantly be running down that DualSense controller. So what any PlayStation player will appreciate is indeed a spare DualSense controller. Speaking of which, that leads me nice onto my second recommendation. Let's talk chargers. Because obviously when you get a PlayStation 5 just out the box, it's a simple USB-C to USB cable and you have to plug it in, dangle it out the front of your console, and nobody wants that. It looks ugly. I had a word with Mrs. Claus just now and she agrees. Every good PlayStation 5 player deserves some form of DualSense charging dock. And the DualSense charging dock I've recommended here is the AC2 Ammo Clip charging dock by Geotech. Obviously, loads of other ones available, but this one doesn't break the bank. It won't take up too much room, only requires one USB port, and as you're seeing on screen at the moment, it's quite smart in how you can neatly just slot in two controllers either side, and they'll charge rather rapidly. I've been using this one a lot. I really enjoy it. You got the LED indicator on the front there to let you know when it has been fully charged. And like I said, if you buy this outright, brand new from Geotech Direct or anywhere else, it fits nice in a stocking as well, and it's something that every PlayStation 5 player will surely appreciate, even if they want to stick to the one controller rather than just the two, because at least then they've got the option, should they want to buy the second controller, of being able to charge two at once. Bam! I'm giving you some top tips today when it comes to Christmas gift guides. So next up on the docket, sticking with accessories for your DualSense controller specifically. Let's say you've got two controllers. Let's say you've only got one, but you don't want to, you don't want to stack them up. You don't want them laying around, or heaven forbid, on top of your PlayStation 5 console, if indeed you have it laid vertically. Why don't you stack them neatly using the controller rack from Venom? So this is something that I really appreciate, and particularly if you have your PlayStation 5 sat up vertically, this little thing just clips onto the side, relatively cheap. Obviously it is only just a piece of glorified plastic at the end of the day, but it's coloured very much in the style of the PlayStation 5 console as well as the DualSense controllers themselves, so that once it's clipped on you can neatly stack not one but two DualSense controllers, one above the other, and it looks especially neat, at least I think. And again, won't break the bank, but if you know someone who's got a PlayStation 5, a nice little stocking filler there. Another obvious one, which I can't unfortunately show you in its physical form anyway, is obviously the PlayStation Plus 12-month subscription card. Now, particularly at this time of year, especially around Black Friday and obviously the rest of the holiday season, this tends to go on sale at, various online retailers. It's got a general RRP of around £40 here in the UK, but, at times you should be able to knock at least £10 off of that. And if you're struggling to get a PlayStation game or something, and you don't want something that'll take up any space at all, get them a PlayStation Plus subscription, because obviously those in the know will obviously know this, but even if your existing PlayStation Plus subscription hasn't lapsed yet, it stacks. So even if, say, you've got like 2 months left on it, somebody buys you a 12-month one for Christmas, or indeed you buy them a 12-month subscription for Christmas, then they're set for the next year ahead. And, if you're constantly struggling what to get the gamer friend of yours, it can be a routine, every Christmas, just keep it stacking, 12 months, 12 months, 12 months. It's a nice, easy way, and I know that I'd appreciate it, because I'm constantly buying it in 3-month increments, because I'm just so stingy that way. Don't want to pay full price. But no, it's a really good option to have a 12-month PlayStation Plus subscription. Let's make it happen. So moving on to the more expensive side of things, and I'm kind of trepidatious to even call this an accessory, but if you can and you want to get a PlayStation 5 player a big present and they're constantly running out of space, you know what I'm going to say, get them an M.2 PS5 SSD. They're never going to run out of space again with an extra terabyte in there, because space obviously is limited. It's advertised as a terabyte in both versions of the PlayStation 5 console. It's actually closer to 800 gigs, which, in today's climate and with current gen titles as big as they are, it can fill up relatively quickly. So if you are willing to spend maybe a little bit more and you want that person to, it could be their main present and you want that person to really appreciate it, I would say get them a PlayStation 5 hard drive with heatsink. It's a bit of a tricky task to install it, but once it's done once, you can set and forget it. And as I say, small again, can fit in a stocking, but it can also act as their main present. Okay, so moving on to games. I'm not going to spend too much time on the games portion, because I think you could really pick anything, and obviously it depends greatly on the type of player that you're hoping to buy for. So I thought for this section I just run through a couple of 2021 top hits on PlayStation 5. This is only my personal recommendation. This is not the official Push Square Game of the Year list or anything like that. That is still to come. But no, in terms of great games to play over the Christmas period, like you've got 2-3 weeks off, maybe if you're lucky, 3 weeks off over Christmas. Wow. You've got a good boss, that's all I'll say. But let's say you're in that situation there. A game I've really been enjoying that I think is perfect to play over the Christmas period, Guardians of the Galaxy. Came out, surprised everyone. It's a single-player, linear, AAA title in the classic sense, kind of similar in stylings to Uncharted in the sense that there are a lot of shootings involved and you're constantly traveling from place to place with some fun and charming companion characters. So to keep everything PlayStation related, obviously, if you know someone who plays PlayStation and is a big Uncharted fan but doesn't necessarily want to dip into the dourness of The Last of Us, then I would say Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. It's an absolute space romp, and if you want more details on that, obviously be sure to check out the review on this channel. Game number 2 is something a little less mainstream, I would say. Deathloop. PlayStation 5 exclusive, and the reason I bring this up is because obviously we at Push Square loved it, as most critics do, and it's a rare example of a PlayStation 5 exclusive in 2021 that can't be purchased anywhere else. Not just yet, anyway. So if you know someone who's potentially getting a PlayStation 5 for Christmas and you want a way for them to see the power and the kind of, the DualSense haptic feedback that's possible with a PlayStation 5 exclusive, I think Deathloop is an absolute no-brainer. Like I said, it's kind of a roguelike, but it's also very linear. So in terms of arcane games, it's going to hold your hand a bit more. So if you know someone who's kind of, can be adverse to that kind of less linear style of play, I think they should be alright with Deathloop. Plus, it's a lot of fun, a lot of replay value, especially when you play as the second character after beating the single player campaign. Okay, next game up, Call of Duty Vanguard. Yes, I know, Call of Duty, it's the obvious choice. That's part of the reason why I bring it up. If you're like, you're struggling to tell your grandma what to get you, Call of Duty tends to be a solid choice. And the reason I say it's because it's still such a solid value proposition. You get a single player campaign, you get a zombies mode, and you also get obviously that PvP multiplayer with a little bit of integration into Warzone, which is obviously normally free anyway. But the reason I bring it up is because if you're looking for, a game that does everything, Call of Duty is going to do it for you. And especially on the multiplayer multiplayer front, obviously we weren't big fans of Battlefield 2042, and you can buy that game at full price and it's only got a multiplayer mode. So if you want something that's, a little bit more value and quality, at least in my opinion, I would go for Call of Duty Vanguard. Been really enjoying it a lot. The characters in the single player campaign make the World War II setting worthwhile visiting again, and I really enjoy that faster paced style of play for a World War II shooter that Call of Duty Vanguard is able to provide. And then last up, in terms of my Christmas guide game recommendations, I'm going to pick Kena Bridge of Spirits. Now obviously this is a style of game that is very close to my heart growing up in the PlayStation 2, PS1 era as a kid. It's a clear throwback to 3D action platformers, similar to kind of what we saw with Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart earlier this year, only this is a much newer game and it's, I would argue, slightly prettier, maybe a little bit on par, but it's definitely quite the looker. And again, it's a PlayStation 5 showcase title that now has a physical version. So when it originally released, you could only buy it digitally, but now just in time for Christmas, I think it was a couple of weeks ago now, you can actually pick up Kena Bridge of Spirits in the shop online as a boxed copy, wrap it up for Christmas Day for every PlayStation 5 gamer to appreciate. Again, that's another game. If you want to know a little bit more about it, check out our review on the channel. It's easy to find. Okay, so let's say you know someone who's a massive games fan, but you don't necessarily want to buy them a game. You want to take them away from the screen a little bit, but still give them something that's, relevant to their interest. Well, I've got a couple of book recommendations here that I've enjoyed, not necessarily ones that have just released this year, but kind of, again, great book, gaming related gift ideas that would fit nicely in a stocking or suit someone that enjoys playing games. But if you've got to go over your aunties for turkey on Boxing Day and you can't have your PlayStation 5 with you, you can still enjoy it quite a bit. So the first book I'd recommend is none other than Blood, Sweat and Pixels by Jason Schreier. And the reason I'd recommend this book, it came out a couple of years ago now, is because it's a very itemized account of what it takes, the effort it takes to make the games that you and I enjoy so much. He's got another book out that did come out this year, but this one I think is more appropriate because the games discussed are obviously a little bit older now, so there's an increased chance that you would have played them. Plus it's broken down into 10 chapters, 10 games, the making of each, what it took, and each provide a different story. So Blood, Sweat and Pixels, a solid recommendation from me. Another book recommendation, particularly for the younger gamer, is 101 Video Games to Play Before You Grow Up by Ben Bertoli. And the reason I love this book here is because it does exactly what it says on the tin. It's just, discusses 101 games, dedicates a page, roughly, to each game, gives you a brief explanation about what each game will provide you, and it covers the classics as well as more modern hits that Ben Bertoli has done a really good job at breaking down. So you've got stuff like Sackboy in here, Crash Bandicoot, PlayStation-related icons, as well as ones on some other formats, and it's all kind of broken down into like an infographic form. It's got storyline previews, some behind the scenes trivia about the characters, and it covers a wide gamut of genres. So let's say you know someone who's only just getting into gaming, but you want to and they don't know what to play, but you want to give them a way to help them gauge their interests. I would definitely recommend 101 Video Games to Play Before You Grow Up. And you don't necessarily need to be a kid because, I thought it was, a fun, breezy read, nice coffee table book. The last proper book recommendation I'll recommend you is Significant Zero by Walt Williams. And I think the reason this is good is because obviously it's specific to game development again, but it is really just one man, one developer, one writer's account of his journey throughout video games. That isn't quite over yet and is still going on. So Walt Williams, if you didn't know, he's the writer of games such as Spec Ops: The Line and Star Wars Battlefront 2, or at least the campaign mode. But he also has experience working on BioShock because he worked at 2K for quite a while now. And the reason that this book is good is just because it's super honest, kind of no filter. If you want to know what it takes to make games in the modern age and you want to know about one person's journey breaking in, Significant Zero is the way to go. Okay, so moving on to art books, I thought, with Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart coming out this year, you could buy the dedicated art book for that. But I think, prefer to recommend just the general The Art of Ratchet & Clank. And the reason that this book is a good recommendation, obviously it's PlayStation related, so if you know someone who's a big Ratchet & Clank fan, it'll be perfect for them, but particularly because it covers the making and development and features the concept art of every game from the PS2 original all the way up into the 2016 remake. So there is a lot of content here. It also features exclusive comic strips that I believe were only ever previously released online. So if you know someone who's a big Ratchet fan, or you want to get them into Ratchet & Clank in the tee up for Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, the art of Ratchet & Clank is an easy recommendation. And then finally, one final art book. If you don't necessarily want to read whilst, you know, flicking through an art book and you just want to be treated to the pretty art, another PlayStation game from a couple of years ago, an art book that I picked up this year, is The Art of Ni no Kuni 2. Now this was obviously a JRPG from a few years ago, released on PS4, but plays great on PS5. And the reason I bring up this particular art book when you really could just choose any is because obviously it's heavily inspired by that Studio Ghibli-esque Japanese style of animation. So every time you flick through the page, you know, you're guaranteed a gorgeous treat for the eyes, and there's actually absolutely no text kind of like revealing the mystique of the effort that went into creating these characters and worlds. So those are my book recommendations for Christmas. On to clothing now, and if you can't already tell, I've got my Spider-Man Christmas jumper there. Not directly gaming related, but seeing as Spider-Man is pretty much, you know, one of the most recent PlayStation icons. Got a PS4 game, he's got a spin-off, and he's getting another one coming out. You can just as easily hop onto this one. But no, I'm going to directly point you to Numskull here. They do a lot of quote-unquote ugly Christmas jumper gaming-related designs. I've seen ones with Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon. So regardless if you're a gamer, young or old, and you want to get into the Christmas season, there's just about enough time to bag yourself a Christmas jumper based on a game in time for the day itself. And then obviously you would have seen these bad boys in the intro there, but I got myself a nice PlayStation set of slippers. Nobody wants to put on their trainers or, you know, maybe even a pair of socks on Christmas Day. So it's much easier just to get yourself a set of slippers based on PlayStation. There's plenty of designs out there. They don't have to be as minimalist as this. Just a quick Google would solve it. And another great thing for this, you know, it works for younger players as well as more older players, kind of like me. You know, everybody could use a pair of slippers, especially when you want to show your gaming love. So get yourself a pair, and they keep your feet nice and warm. Okay, now on to the miscellaneous stuff now. Obviously, I don't want to take up too much of your time, and one of the most obvious recommendations, I think, if you want something small for the gamer in your life, find out what game they love, and I'm gonna say it, get them a Pop Funko. A Pop Funko of their favourite character. I've got Lilith from Borderlands 3 here. She's just one of the most badass characters in all of games. But you can, the reason I recommend Pop Funkos, it's because you can get pretty much a Pop Funko for every game character now. Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, Kratos and Atreus, Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn, I'm pretty sure they've done, with kind of one of the big Titan robots that she battles. Another one I've got is the Power Armor from Fallout. I believe it's from Fallout 4 specifically. And the reason I like this one is because it doesn't, you know, it doesn't obviously tie into the overall Pop Funko aesthetic with the kind of dark eyes and stuff. I'm more of a fan of those Pop Funkos that do that don't fit into the house style, as it were, and try and get a bit more adventurous. So if you can do that and you want a nice stocking filler, grab your player intended person, get them a Pop Funko. But if you don't want Pop Funkos, then I'm going to once again point to Numskull. Don't actually have any myself, but boy, am I tempted. They do a lot of these rubber duck gaming characters called tubs, and they're just a lot of fun. Hopefully you're seeing it on screen now. And my personal favourite is the Leon and Claire ones. They did a couple of months back. Like, it's amazing how much of a person's essence you can capture within the form of a rubber duck. And these take up less room than Pop Funko slightly, a little bit different, and I don't see them around as much. Hence why, if you're a bit inundated with Pop Funkos, go for the rubber duck tubs from Numskulls if you still want to find a way to appropriately show your love for a gaming character on your shelf. So anyway, guys, that just about does it for my Christmas guide recommendations, ideal for the PlayStation player in your life, or indeed yourself. Let me know in the comment section below if you find this useful, or if indeed there's something here that you might find perfect for somebody that you know. But until next time, do leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and consider subscribing to the Push Square YouTube channel for everything else PlayStation related. Right now, I've got to get back to helping the elves in Santa's workshop, but until next time, thank you so much for watching, have a good Christmas when it gets here, and I will most definitely see you in the next one.